back to Kickflips and Kickstands Podcast, Season 3, Episode 3. Technically. That's how, there you are. Episode 3.
Hello.
Hey, I'm your host, as always, Danny Infante. With me in the stew, as always, is also...
Grayson Connor.
Grayson Connor's here, everyone. That's the wrong button, but I like it. So, welcome back. Today is a kind of an impromptu episode, my dude. You were in town. Why were you in town today?
You know, we're exploring our options. Maybe you might want to get out of the old ATX and move to the old LTX.
There you go. I don't think anyone calls it that, so...
I'm going to start that when I get here.
Please don't ever do that again.
Yeah, it's cheaper to live here and better to live here because Austin, I love you, kind of sucks now.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to live there. So trying to get out of there. So
yeah, we've been out here a few months, and I mean, I'm not mad at it at all, and I don't see it like raining or me getting tired of it. So,
and it's going to pay in dividends in the next few years,
and you'll be putting money into your own pocket instead of some landlords. So
yes, renting sucks.
Yeah,
get it? Got to do it sometimes, but
for sure.
Sucks.
Yeah, I hate when people are like, "You're just throwing money away renting," and like, I got to live somewhere, my guy.
God,
like,
what do you want me to do?
Yeah,
buy a mansion.
I don't want to be homeless right now.
Yeah,
like I've explored some options, and if I can keep that one from being it, then I'm good. So yeah, you were in town, so I figured, fuck it, why not try and jam out an episode?
Sure.
I whipped up a little. This is basically the rough draft of the script that you guys are getting.
Yeah,
but this episode kind of just happened without having to really schedule anything. So
love that.
Why not?
Peas.
So, do you know what we're talking about? I think
you briefly told me, but the words you use mean nothing to me.
So on to listener and Grayson. Today, we're going to be talking about Bosozoku motorcycles. It's a subculture. I mean, let's just get into... I'll read you what I wrote. Okay? We're diving deep into the captivating history of Bosozoku motorcycles, a subculture that left an indelible mark on Japan's motorcycling heritage and bled into car and Western cultures too. To truly understand the Bosozoku phenomenon, we have to step back to post-World War II Japan. The country was experiencing rapid economic growth and social change. And we've talked about this in previous episodes too. Like, before a war, there's some kind of downturn. Wars usually cap off some kind of economic downturn.
I was going to say.
After a war, there's a lot of... So the reason... And before we get into the episode as a listener, and you, Grayson, this is kind of a mirror episode. Or not just a mirror episode. We're going to... Spoiler alert. There's another episode coming from this. The butterfly effect of World War II. Or the same, like... What happened over here with motorcycles happened over there with motorcycles. Yeah. Like,
makes sense.
There's a lot of parallels. So and these are just really rad looking fucking motorcycles. So I feel like they have to be talked about. But it's kind of a taboo thing because you're talking about like the other side. Sure. Like, I know you've heard about World War II. Let's talk about what Japan was doing.
Well, like, the first one, I don't know if I've seen the second one.
The World Wars?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Loved the first one.
The first one was great in that one video game.
Yeah.
So yeah, the country was experiencing rapid economic growth as it goes after a war and social change. As Japan moved toward industrialization and urbanization, young people found themselves caught between tradition and modernity. The Bosozoku movement emerged as a manifestation of this conflict. So again, this is post-World War II. And we're talking about the youth. And when we say that, we mean some of the people, if not mostly the people that are coming back from this war.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it in the history of Harley Davidson. Yep. Where there was no PTSD back then. It was shell shock. Yeah. And we've talked about the ramifications of war on a soldier's psyche before. But I can't stress enough that this movement and this whole counterculture came from, there's a question that, like, I think they did in a donut video way back when, but he basically says, like, what if I told you that at the end of World War II, there were kamikaze pilots that were told to go home?
Right.
Like, so this whole movement came from kamikaze pilots. They were trained to fly their... I mean, we all know what those are. I don't think we need to do a history on that. They were trained to fly their fucking planes. And again, you have to peel back some layers because there's a lot of pride out there.
Yeah. It's complex.
It's like we're talking about at the time the enemy, but if you peel back the layers of what the war is about, why the war, like if you just are for supporting the troops, just that statement,
Sure.
Just remember that every country has the troops, and in every country's mind, they're fighting the fight that needs to be fought for that country. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to get too poly-charged because I also know that
People's people, you know?
I look at analytics and probably 95% of our audience probably wants to hear our side of the story. And we'll get to that. We are going to get to that. But no, these dudes were like, kill yourself for your country. And they were like, I'm sure at the beginning of the training, they're like, I don't know, dude.
You're like, that's a big ask.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't I just go over
What do
there?
I get out of
They're
this?
not making their guys so I can fly into shit. But they fucking sipped the tea, whatever you want to call it, and we're on board.
Did we run out of like bomb money, or like what happened?
Yeah. Like, are you sure? I feel like there's other ways. Like, like kind of our people invented fireworks. Like we could just like drop it like a barrel of fireworks.
So many options for this, and this is what you want me to do.
So yeah, the war ends. And I guess the dudes that were in the barracks that were getting ready, and they're like, all right, tomorrow's the day. Someone comes in and they're like, hey, go home.
Yeah, rain check.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey.
Cool. I just prepared for my demise.
Yeah.
So I'll just go have a future.
I want to thank you so much for what you agreed to do for us.
Due to company cutback, all these things, we don't need you anymore.
Yeah, we didn't win the company softball match. So just go home. So those dudes go home. And that's where the Bosozoku movement kind of comes from. Let's see. The term... Well, I
was just going to say, I feel like if that's your situation, you were supposed to die by your job description, and you don't, like, you feel like you're on... Like, everything else is bonus at that point.
Right.
So you're going to do some, like, risky, high-speed behavior.
Sure. And, like it's got to fuck with your mental to, like, be like, oh...
I didn't plan for anything.
You're going to kill yourself? Don't.
Yeah. Okay. I just won't.
Yeah. Instead, go work an office job. You can buy a bitchin' house right now.
Sure.
The term Bosozoku translates to violent speed tribes. So
on brand.
how fucking cool is that?
Makes sense.
If I was ever part of a violent speed tribe, I'd be like, yo, we're gonna go do some fucking crazy shit because this sounds really cool. These rebellious youth form motorcycle gangs, donning iconic black leather jackets, pompadour hairstyles, and riding heavily modified motorcycles that belched out deafening roars. The Bosozoku's unmistakable style became synonymous and with defiance and a rejection of societal norms. Again, we're gonna paint this picture. The other side of this coin episode is gonna sound very similar to this episode. But I feel like we have to tell this story before we tell ours.
Yeah.
Because it's super similar. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Bosozoku culture continued to evolve, becoming more pronounced and capturing the fascination of both enthusiasts. That's a hard one after a couple drinks. Becoming more pronounced and capturing the fascination of both enthusiasts and the general public. Nailed it. The loud, modified motorcycles represented a rebellion against a conservative society that was increasingly focused on economic success and conformity. So they're fucking fighting the man. And they're like, fuck this. I was gonna fucking literally die for you, dude. Now I just want to get on this loud ass motorcycle that I made look ridiculous in a way that I love. And fucking, they would like swing bats. They would ride around with like like a dude on the back with like a bat swinging it and fucking hitting cars and shit. And they would just go do fucking donuts and burnouts in intersections and like rev their fucking, they'd have like rev competitions, revving their bikes and like pinning it and like making beats basically with their fucking motorcycle engines.
Yeah, this was no cosplay.
No. These motorcycling rebels didn't just ride for the thrill. They roared through the streets, often causing disruptions and clashes with authorities. The modified motorcycles, often equipped with extended front forks, elaborate fairings, and distinct paint jobs and chrome exhaust, were symbols of individualism and defiance. So, I don't think you've seen this kind of bike before. I showed it to you.
Pictures, yeah.
And as a listener, if you haven't seen this kind of bike, I'm assuming a lot of you have. There's actually a couple shops that built a couple like Sportsters to kind of mimic it.
Yeah.
But when you hear that on paper, it's like, what are you guys doing to these bikes? We're like, oh, we're painting them crazy. We're extending the front forks. we're building these crazy like camel hump seats that go like really high up in the back, and we're putting like a lot of chrome on them. And you hear that, and you're like, "Are you guys building Harleys?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"Our bikes,
Yeah.
they're like Japanese bikes, but kind of like that's all." Like when you listen to that paper, like that's what you do to a chopper.
Same energy.
Well, and it's the same like what's a chopper like?
Right. Long
Like a
fork.
70s style
Yeah.
long chopper is like big ass front fork, big old king and queen with a fucking sissy bar to high hell, and fucking big old fucking. Except for not the only thing different, but one of the things different is that they were putting fairings on the front, but they were even extending the fairing. So like this like race style fiberglass cowls for like they're made for aerodynamics, like to put on race bikes.
Yeah.
But they're mounting them on these bikes that are like raked out, and they're basically like a wind sail at this point. But you paint it crazy, they're hanging flags off of them, and there's fucking like 4 exhausts coming out the back with like air horns hanging off the side.
Yeah.
It's chaos, but in a really cool way.
Gives Spy Kids vibes.
Kind of. We did that. Let's see. The Bosozoku subculture was more than just motorcycles. It was a fusion of diverse influences, from American rock and roll to Japanese manga and Yakuza films. The Bosozoku incorporated elements of various pop culture phenomena, creating a unique blend that resonated with the disenchanted youth of Japan. So it's like textbook gang kind of cult vibes where they're just like, "Hey kids, are you mad at the man?" Like,
Sure.
"My mom and dad want me to go to school and you giving me a motorcycle." I'm like, "Yeah, come hang out with us."
Which is interesting in Japan, especially. I don't know if our listeners know. I lived in Japan for some time, which makes me zero an authority on Japanese culture, but I will, in fact, speak on it.
No, speak for the entire country, white guy.
As a white man, I will tell you what I think of Japan. The whole subverting authority and like the general structure of things is counterintuitive to like their general the way they do things.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So like
It's a very by the book culture. Like
it's one thing to be rebellious in like Western culture. It's a whole nother deal to be rebellious in that culture too, because people are probably like, "What the fuck are they doing?"
Well, what's crazy is that actually this happened to me at Jump when they sent me to fucking San Francisco to do some training. They basically it was like Rosie the Riveter training that like when a war. Speaking of wars, when the wars broke out. And it was like, you have to contribute to the effort or like do nothing, I guess. Like, good luck because there's no money just like working in the factory. Yeah.
That's what they did.
I guess you could just think about how you're a treacherous fucking
Just
scumbag
steep
every
in
day.
your cowardice.
But like they trained like women and I don't know if children is probably at that time.
Probably, yeah.
But they just like it was like it's super focused, hyper quick training on like one thing.
Yep.
And you train that person, and
Here's
you're like,
how you make a bolt.
Yeah, it's like here's how you. Well, it was like here's how you turn the series of bolts to like make sure that this wing on this thing stays on, and then it goes down the line, and someone else does another very focused like.
Yeah.
But like you employ thousands doing that, but that came from a Japanese. That came from the Japanese. Like America studied their factories, and I was like, how do we fucking like?
Yeah, how do we crank out like 100 planes a day?
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy that there's now that we're talking about it more. There's more than one parallel in this war between these two countries. Yeah. Well, there's other people involved, but
sure. The world.
While the Bosozoku were often associated with rebellion and chaos, it's essential to understand. Oh wait. Nope. I'm probably going to say that after every little bit.
Yeah.
Back to where I started before. While the Bosozoku were often associated with rebellion and chaos, it's essential to understand the socioeconomic factors that shape the movement. The economic hardships and limited employment opportunities for young people played a significant role in fostering a sense of alienation and unrest. So it's like that's textbook fucking gang shit where they're just like, "Hey, kids, like, do you not know what the fuck to do in life? Like, here's a motorcycle and some friendship. Like, what else are you gonna do? Fucking go work at a factory?
Feeling disenfranchised?
Yeah.
I have the answers.
The motorcycle offered an avenue for both expression and rebellion. As a result, many young people turned to Bosozoku gangs, seeking a sense of belonging and empowerment in a world that was rapidly changing around them. Like all cultural movements, the Bosozoku phenomenon experienced periods of evolution and decline. As Japan entered the 1980s and shifted towards a more stable and prosperous society, the Bosozoku subculture began to wane. Stricter laws and enforcement against reckless driving and public disturbances also took a toll on the movement. That's the man, dude. We're
cracking
talking
down,
about the
dude.
man.
Yeah.
That's some fucking pigs.
We can't ban a certain people, but we can make laws around it to make them not effective.
Okay, so the lowrider subculture in LA and all that shit, that came from laws that were put in place to fucking like kind of slow down blacks and Latinos.
Yeah.
In this, I think like the 70s. Don't quote me on the decade, but like the reason why it's not just lowrider laws. The reason why everyone's always like California has such strict fucking vehicle laws. A lot of those shits were put in place around the same time because people started fucking riding the low lows and fucking scraping corners, and the cops were like, we can't come out and say I want to pull you over because you're different, but we can make a whole bunch of fucking trivial laws.
I have noticed the cars you drive. Yeah, it's just the general vibe with law. It seems to be like,
Hey,
it seems like they have ulterior motives. Even
I don't like you as a person, and I can't say that.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna come up with a couple ways to like really drive the point home.
Yeah,
and give me probable cause. The minute someone uttered the fucking term probable cause, police everywhere were like, what is that?
They're like, we can arrest you. So
probable prejudice.
No. Same. Yeah. We're splitting hairs here.
Yeah. The decline of Bosozoku culture marked a shift in Japanese society as the focus shifted from rebellion to more societal accepted forms of expression. However, the legacy of the Bosozoku endures throughout its impact on motorcycle customization and street fashion, which, like, to this day, like I just said, in the past few years, we've seen some people build up some Sportsters to look like Japanese Bosozoku with like a little healthy mixture of both. Which, if you want to go back to peeling those layers back, like you're designing an American-made motorcycle to look like a Japanese from post World War II. It's like. There's my favorite quote in all of Archer. There's a scene in Archer, if none of you have watched it, where he crash lands a plane in the jungle in like Japan, and he runs into some dude who I think the dude thinks he's been there since the war.
Which is based on a real thing, but yeah.
Yeah. And Archer finds that out, and he says, like, cool Honda Scrambler Japan or Pearl Harbor Japan. Oh my God, it's so good. And it's John Benjamin's voice saying that. When you think of that, like World War II, and Honda started, like a cool Honda Scrambler from Japan being sold in the States was probably being sold in for sure, not probably, early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. Yeah. So this is earlier than our lifespan.
Big time.
Is like, hey, remember that thing that we did?
Yeah.
We're going to come over and sell, like...
We do too.
Yeah. Buy our shit.
It's interesting also, like, how the fashion thing, or what is, like, considered ubiquitous for, like, bikers and stuff, is, like, born out of necessity, and also around, like, this time period with, like, the whole leather jacket thing and all of that
just
stuff.
Like that rebellion thing.
Because, I mean, it's really for, like... It's road safety, but then it turned into fashion.
Yeah.
Like fashion, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a very practical piece of clothing.
You want to get your skin scraped off at breakneck speeds. Yeah.
And then they're like, what if we paint like fucking snakes and dragons on the back of these things?
And that became like the universal like bad boy like uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger in T1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. He fucking takes that dude's just like, I'm going to kill you and take your clothes.
Somebody wore it first. You know, that's what I always think about.
Yeah.
Like the first leather jacket guy.
Dude. That was Arthur Fonzarelli.
Hey.
What's the fucking actor's name? I forget.
Oh,
he's in Barry.
Henry Winkler.
Yes. Yeah. The dude.
Which is the least badass name.
The least badass name. And like Henry Winkler now.
Yeah.
If you told me like, oh, this dude played like a really cool like leather jacket dude.
He's like an old greaser guy. You're like, that's sweet old grandpa?
Yeah. Let's see. Even though the heyday of the Bosozoku movement has passed, the influence can still be felt today. The spirit of customization, individualism, and breaking free from societal constraints lives on in the hearts of motorcycle enthusiasts worldwide. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true, me. The vibrant history of the Bosozoku movement continues to inspire artists, fashion designers, and even filmmakers. Its impact on Japanese popular culture is evident in the enduring fascination with retro aesthetics and the ongoing celebration of the rebellious spirit of the Bosozoku. And that's what I got for you. That's the captivating journey through the history of Bosozoku motorcycles.
Well, let me ask you some
From
questions.
its origins, and let me finish this, Grayson, please. From its origins as a defiant subculture to its impact on modern culture, the Bosozoku movement remains a testament to the power of motorcycles to transcend mere transportation and become symbols of freedom, rebellion, and individuality. Questions.
So, why is it not more? It seems like it made waves when it was a thing. It's petered out with the exception of like a few like relics or replicas or whatever. What's the word I'm trying to look for? Like carbon copies. People just doing homages.
Sure.
Why is it not more of a? I mean, I guess it is, right? It's essentially what chopper culture is now, right? Would you agree, or am I off base there?
What is?
Like, but where Bosozoku? Say it for me.
Bosozoku?
God damn it.
I don't even know if I'm saying it right. But
Those goals, where, like, what was the? Would you say they even did decline? That they went away, they petered out, kind of thing?
Oh yeah. Like as far as like if you see them around,
Right. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, right now, if you go to Japan, you probably see more like Western style Harley choppers.
Why?
I wouldn't say that.
Why? I mean, why would you say that is even a little bit? Like, what didn't keep them alive? The way like something like Harley sustained and became timeless.
I mean, I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But just off the top of my head, Harley has lost a lot of its like customer base throughout the years and all this shit. But Harley leaned. We've talked about this on the pod. Like they leaned in heavy to that image.
Yes.
Whereas I'm sure Honda and these Japanese brands did not. They're like, no, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely
different
not.
Time and place.
Yeah, that's not us. Which they did. All billionaire corporations do shady shit. Like,
Sure.
There's a whole gentleman's agreement of Japan where like all the manufacturers sat down and they were making, this is like the 80s. So the 80s and 90s when it's like that prosperous fucking, they're like, hey, just go be a business guy and you'll make a shit ton of money and you can buy a house, multiple cars, feed a family of fucking 5 or 6 off just your salary.
Right.
And so people were like, hell yeah, let's start a family. And we just almost fucking killed ourselves a couple years ago.
Yeah.
The timeline on that is kind of off, but it's same. The manufacturers sat down and were like, we can't make super fast cars. So they had like a handshake agreement that all like, so like Nissan Skylines, like all these like coveted 80s and 90s Japanese sports cars a lot of them were sold marked as only having 276 horsepower. And that wasn't true. Right. It just wasn't true. All of the fucking corporations, Honda, Toyota, fucking Mitsubishi, they all had a fucking meeting and were like, we just wink and tell them all that these cars are only this fast. And they're not. They're like, some of them were being sold like 300, 350 horsepower, but they were just like, we'll just tell the fucking, we'll tell the man that they're nice and slow and safe.
It's a family car. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think just the corporations didn't lean into that bad boy image as much as Harley did.
Interesting.
And it kept up. And now it's like, it's so big that over there they're building some of the best.
They all became about performance rather than like culture and style.
Right.
Of thing.
But like some of the best choppers are in Japan now. Like some of the best Harley choppers, the best looking ones are built over there because they just, like anything that they do, they put a lot of fucking
they're gonna kill it.
Good work into. They're like, oh, I like this now. I'm gonna figure out how to do it in the most efficient and best way possible, and they fucking kill it. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And I didn't touch base, but like the Bosozoku movement bled in even to like car culture. Like you have cars that look fucking wild that they borrow from like that, and then they borrow from a couple other like subcultures in Japan.
Yeah.
And it's just these fucking like lowered square body 4-door Japanese sedans with like the front bumper, like the body kit, the chin spoiler is like 4 feet out. And it's like super low weird. And they build it. I'll show you a video. The one that like actually sparked this idea. Like I already knew about the bikes, but that donut video I watched, which I realize now I'm wearing the hat.
Yeah.
Hey listener, if you're this far into this episode, this whole season's going to be on YouTube. So
yeah.
And we're probably just going to backlog and upload like a still image with some fucking wavelength over it for our past seasons and put those on the old YouTube. Yeah, it's there. We made the content.
Yeah.
Grayson just learned that too.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I didn't know that.
You're learning a lot tonight.
I would have wore a suit if I had known.
But it's cool. Like, there's some of my favorite bikes. I shout out to Jesse Bauman, the homie that we did an episode with, that owns and operates Hex Moto over in Lake Worth, Florida. Old coworker of mine. He's building a Bosozoku bike, and he just got a Nissan Skyline. That fucker. That thing is fucking sick.
Is there anyone in our area building one or have one?
I don't think so. Me and Richard, another previous guest, listener, another previous guest from season 2. We actually did a lot of motorcycle shops. We almost did exclusively motorcycle shops in season 2.
Yeah.
When I think about it. So go support all of those local shops.
Oh.
Go listen to our episodes and support us. It's getting easier. I hate plugging shit. If you're listening still, I hate plugging shit, but we have to do it.
Yeah.
We have to do it. So,
how else will you know to go there?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I appreciate y'all for fucking checking in. Grayson, do you have anything coming up? You got any shout outs, any plugs? Take backs?
Feel Good Club's dropping an album soon.
Tight.
General fall.
Okay, I think that's around when we're going to start airing these episodes.
Oh, great. Soon.
Because it's
now.
Hot as shit now, so I'm trying to figure it out.
And just more of this and maybe moving. So just take that information and do what you will with it.
Yeah.
So
closer to me.
Yeah, closer to you. Which may equal more episodes and such. So.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Love that.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check us out at Kickflips and Kickstands Podcast. We're on Instagram. We're anywhere you listen to podcasts, and we're soon to be on YouTube. Fucking have a good day. Tell a friend about the podcast, and tell that same friend that you care about them.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Why not?
See ya.